Right. Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to GCAC Erie West Senior Center and our distinguished guest, Governor Shapiro, and other elected officials today. Joining us, we do have, and I'm going to go in a particular order, and if I'm out of the right order, please forgive me. I don't get a chance to do this often. But I want to recognize our county council members, Terry Scatella and Mary Rennie, who are the vice chair of the county council. Mayor Joe Schember is here. And I think you know these other two gentlemen up here, Senator Dan Laughlin and Representative Pat Harkins. Yeah. And of course, this handsome gentleman next to me is Governor Shapiro.
That's the nicest introduction I ever got. Thank you.
And I think this is a momentous occasion for the governor to be here in Erie and to visit us here at the Senior Center on such an important topic. Looking at the tax rebate, not only is it increasing the amount of money that's going to be made available for seniors in the rebate, but also an opportunity to increase the number of people by 150,000 that can actually be eligible for the program. So again, very important. To keep things moving along, at this point in time, I'll ask one of your own to come forward, Mr. Jim Crosby, who is a Senior Center member, to give a few comments, and then we'll keep the program moving. All right? Mr. Crosby?
Come on, Jim. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to tell everybody how much the seniors are appreciating the rent rebate. I know a lot of the seniors are living in senior housing and they're living on minimum Social Security. So this gives us a little extra spending money once in a while. Helps with the co-pays. We can take the shuttle for non-emergency rides. Go out shopping, go to different appointments we want to make, and it's just so helpful. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to having a little more in my pocket. And I appreciate the governor for coming here and representing us.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Kathy Mims to the stand here.
Kelly.
I'm sorry.
Jim and Kelly. It's like the morning show, right? Kelly and, yeah.
Good morning. I'd like to thank Governor Shapiro and all other dignitaries for visiting us in Erie, PA today. What does the property tax rent rebate mean to me? Well, I'm used to being told that I make, say, $25 over the allotted amount for most senior benefits. So I feel blessed to be given the privilege of receiving this once-a-year stipend. It's a godsend that always comes at a perfect time, usually another bill needing paid. My initial thought was to open a savings account and sock this check away every year for emergencies, as my normal income doesn't allow me to do that. Plus, I also knew we were getting a raise in Social Security. But what happened to the raise? Rent went up, utilities went up, gas and food went up, car insurance, health insurance, the list goes on and on and on, so much for the raise. So we're back to needing this yearly stipend to bail us out. So whether I pay off a bill this year, get tires for my car, or just decide to treat myself to a nice dinner once a year, this blessing is a godsend, a blessing in disguise. For most of us, it's a mode of survival. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
And now I have the distinct privilege and pleasure of introducing Governor Shapiro.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good. It's so cool to see you, and I'm glad to be back here in Erie, and I'm glad to be here at this senior center to have the opportunity to talk with you a little bit today about my budget and what I'm going to be respectfully asking lawmakers in both parties to try and do to help our seniors. I want to begin by thanking Mayor Joe Schember and members of our county council who are here. I've always been impressed by the local leadership in Erie and both parties, people coming together to work together to get things done. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be with you here today. You're also going to hear from two leading lawmakers when I'm done, Senator Dan Laughlin and Representative Pat Harkins. I'm really pleased that they're here with us today, and I want to thank them for their leadership as well. Thank you, guys. And I think they'll agree the most important people here are all of you. And I want to pick up on what Kelly said about the needs that seniors have today and how we're going to address it. You know, when I traveled all across this Commonwealth on my campaign last year, I heard firsthand from a whole lot of seniors who told me we need to do more to help them with rising prices. Whether I was here in Erie or across the state in Lehigh County, everywhere I went, I heard that over and over and over again. And I said, look, if you give me the shot to be your governor, I'm going to try and do everything I can to help you. And that's why we're here today, to both fulfill a commitment that I made to you, but also to let you know that I heard you when you told me that you needed some help. My administration is doing everything we can to both tackle rising costs and to put more money back in your pockets. And so today, I return to Erie as the 48th governor of this Commonwealth, prepared to make sure that we deliver for you. Let me talk a little bit about our property tax rent rebate. It's been a long time lifeline for our seniors, especially seniors who live on fixed incomes. Let me explain how our property tax rent rebate works in Pennsylvania. Every year, the property tax rent rebate gives a few $100 to low-income renters and homeowners, helping them to afford to pay their rent, pay for property taxes, buy new tires, or just be able to simply stay in their homes. That's how the program was designed to work, and that's how it's been working for a pretty long time. Homes where seniors like Kelly and Jim raised their families, lived their lives, and made memories over so many years, those are the homes that we want to make sure we continue to invest in. We allow you to continue to be able to stay in through the help of the Commonwealth. The people who benefit from this rebate are our neighbors, our friends, many of you here today, family members, especially here in northwestern Pennsylvania. Consider this. In 2020, just a few years ago, the last time we have data available for all of this, over 16,000 people in Erie and Crawford and Warren counties depended on the property tax rent rebate to cover those extra costs, to help them be able to stay in their homes. Property tax rent rebates help those 16,000 people. And by the way, seniors made up 70% of those 16,000 people afford to be able to stay in their homes and get the help that they needed. Now, for successful as this program has been, and by the way, for as bipartisan as this program has been over the last 17 years, it's been 17 years since Pennsylvania took a look at what seniors actually need to get by. Kelly referred to this a little bit in her comments before. It's been 17 years since the formula that provides relief to more than 400,000 Pennsylvanians, the vast majority of them seniors. It's been 17 years since that formula has been updated to account for changes in the cost of living. As a result of this really inaction over nearly 2 decades, a whole lot of seniors have lost out on relief over that period of time. And so I think it's past time for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to catch up and help our seniors. And so I introduced my budget just a couple months ago, and we're now going through the process of having lawmakers review that budget, and then we'll come together on an agreement over the course of the next few weeks. But part of what I've proposed for their consideration is to significantly expand the property tax rent rebate. Here's what I want to do. I want to raise the maximum rebate, which today stands at $650, and increase it to $1,000. That's real money back in people's pockets. In addition to that, I want to increase the income cap, right, for renters and homeowners to up to $45,000 a year. Right now that cap is lower, so if you earn more than that, you get shut out. You don't get any help. So first I want to raise the amount of money you can get to up to $1,000. Then we want to raise the income cap to up to $45,000. And then there's a third thing I want to do. I want to tie that cap to the cost of living so that the relief you get grows as the cost of living increases, right? We got to make sure we keep growing so we don't get into a situation like we're in now where that rate hasn't changed over the last 17 years. Now, what would all that math mean at the end of the day? Nearly 175,000 more Pennsylvanians would get relief under my proposal. And of the 400,000 that currently qualify for property tax relief, they'll see their rebates nearly double, right? So more people, higher rebates, and that means more people here in northwestern Pennsylvania would also get access to that kind of relief. Look, I think this is common sense, and I think it's needed, and I think our seniors here deserve it. And so I believe that this budget gives us a chance to show our seniors that we have their backs and that we can expand this property tax rent rebate. I think we can't wait another year. It's been 17 years since we've updated this. 17 years since we've looked our seniors in the eye and said, what do you honestly need in order to get by? And let's help make sure we meet that need for you. And I hope it's not lost on you today. And you're going to hear from them. They're going to speak in their own words. But you've got a Democratic representative and a Republican senator standing up here today with a Democratic governor. That doesn't always happen in our politics. But the fact that we're here together, the fact that we're talking, the fact that we're willing to engage in these debates as opposed to just run into our own corners and ignoring the problems, that says a lot about these representatives. And I hope it also gives you a view into the culture I'm trying to bring to our state government, one where people come together, work together, and get things done that are common sense and helpful. I believe we can get this done. And for me, it's particularly special to be here in Erie talking about this today, because it was in Erie where so many seniors stopped me again on the campaign trail and said, you got to do something to help us. And I heard you, and it impacted me. I felt that. And then now to have this opportunity as governor to make a presentation back here to all of you in Erie about how we're going to take your words and your requests and turn it into action, that's pretty special to me. And so I want to say thanks for welcoming me back. Thanks for giving me the honor of serving as your governor. It's a real special privilege for me. I was actually speaking to our great former governor, Tom Ridge, your neighbor here in Erie, just 2 or 3 nights ago. And he asked me, how's it going, Gov? And it's kind of cool when Tom Ridge calls you Gov, right? And I said, well, Gov, I'm really humbled. I'm really humbled. The challenges are immense. But to have the opportunity to be in the room fighting these fights, standing up for our seniors and others, it's humbling and it's special. And I want you to know how grateful I am, and I'm working my tail off for all of you. There's 2 other guys who are up here who I want you to hear from who are also working their tails off for you. And that is Senator Laughlin and Representative Harkins. And so I want to give them an opportunity to address you. And then after that, we'd be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you all so very much. Appreciate you. Thank you. Senator?
You know, folks, I think one of the most important things that you can see here today, right? Republican senator, Democratic governor, Democratic state rep, but we're all on Team Erie when it comes to things like this. You know, that's why we're here together. That's why the governor's working with me, I'm working with him, and I work with Pat on a near daily basis. The property tax and rent rebate program Clearly has needed updated for a while. I know it'll be part of the grand budget negotiations, so we'll see, we'll see where this all lands. But I can tell you that we need property tax relief for the seniors in this community, really, frankly, across Pennsylvania. Many seniors are being forced out of their homes prematurely simply because of taxes. So we need to address that on a broader scale as well. And I think, we can get there. And, the rumor around Harrisburg, quite frankly, is that Governor Shapiro is the best Republican governor we've had since Ridge.
Come on, man.
I might have heard that somewhere, I don't know. But so far, Governor Shapiro has been very reasonable to work with. I've expressed some of the issues that we have in Erie County, and he and I have been working on those issues together. And I look forward to working with him on this problem as well. And I think, when you have people willing to work together and put the partisan design and politics behind them, that's how things get done. And I look forward to making that happen for you. So thank you.
Representative Harkins.
Good morning. Great to be with you. Good morning. Welcome to my district. Welcome, Governor. 17 years ago, he's talking about what we did. He was a representative at that time. He was the first guy to call me when I won that evening and congratulate me. Then I found out later it was Flo Fabrizio twisted his arm, told me he had to.
I miss Flo.
He's been a great friend of mine. He's been a great colleague of mine, and he's taught me an immense amount of how to navigate government. I think back to a number of the issues that I've dealt with, and it's been Josh who's steered us in the right direction. He's not letting us down right now. I expect bigger and brighter things from him going forward. But just to have the issues addressed for working people, put the money back in the working people's pockets, put the money back in the seniors' pockets. They're the ones that spend it. They're the ones that drive the economy. It's something that we must address and we have to address. And again, as Senator Laughlin said, we work in a bipartisan fashion and manner on a lot of these things, and that's how we get things done for people. People don't want to see us squawk and fighting and everything else. And at the end of the day, it's very few issues that we do fight about. But when they're presented to us, we do our best to work together and come to a reasonable resolution, and compromise isn't a bad word. I'll leave you with that, and I appreciate you having me, and thanks, Josh, for coming again.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I know I want to spend some time going around to each table, but we're going to give our friends in the media an opportunity to ask some questions, so fire away.
Mr. Governor, you've, in your budget proposal, outlined a lot of different tax cuts or tax rebate programs, from a corporate tax cut, your plan for teachers, nurses, and police officers, and also your rebate here. Those are ideas with broad bipartisan support. They likely will sail through, but where do you then come up with the additional income to balance the checkbook, so to speak?
Absolutely. And thank you for raising some of the other tax relief we want to provide. I was here in Erie 2-3 weeks ago, I think it was, talking about a tax credit we want to give to be able to hire more police officers, more nurses, and more teachers. We want to give them tax credits so that they'll go into those fields and help us. And it's a great question. How are you going to pay for all this? And the answer is simple. The proposal that I've laid out is fiscally conservative, responsible, and is fully paid for without raising anyone's taxes. In fact, we're going to cut taxes. All of you who have a cell phone here, we're going to cut the state cell phone tax under my budget proposal as well. And there's this thing in Harrisburg called the Independent Fiscal Office. They tend to judge what things cost, and it's something I think Democrats, Republicans look at as a way of understanding, okay, if we're for this bill, how much does it cost the taxpayers? And we all tend to look at that as sort of a kind of a fair number. I think we also look at it and say it's a pretty conservative group of economists. Well, my budget is $3 billion more conservative than what they estimate, meaning this is a fiscally responsible document. So we are able to give seniors more relief. We are able to cut some taxes. We are able to invest in our schools and public safety and growing the economy, and still have plenty of money left over in the rainy day fund in case we have a challenge tomorrow. And this bill, my budget's been scored in a real conservative way. So we feel really good about where it is. I heard loud and clear from the Republican caucus that Senator Laughlin's a member of They don't want to raise taxes, and they want to make sure there's money left in the rainy day fund. I heard loud and clear from Representative Harkin's caucus, and they're both in what's called the majority, meaning their caucuses are each in charge in their respective chambers. And I heard they want to be able to invest some money in solving some problems. I think we can do both. We can both put money in a rainy day fund and give people back money, and we can invest in important initiatives to help folks like our seniors and have plenty of money left over at the end of the day without ever asking Pennsylvanians for any new taxes. Okay? Thanks.
Governor, as you lay out your program today, why is it important to be here and hear from seniors, their stories and their problems?
Well, it's what I said earlier. I mean, when I was campaigning and here in Erie, a number of seniors would pull me aside. And in fairness, this happened across the state, but particularly here in Erie, and they said, we need relief. You heard what Kelly was talking about the Social Security numbers going up and leaving us in a position where this rent rebate, either you didn't qualify for it anymore or the dollars didn't go as far. And I made a commitment to our seniors here in Erie and across Pennsylvania that I would do something to address it. And so I'm trying to fulfill that commitment. That's why it was one of the first things I announced in my budget, and that's why I wanted to come back in particular to Erie here today to tell you that I'm making good on that promise to our seniors, and we're going to get this done together. Thanks. Well,
Mr. Governor, we saw today a display of bipartisanship that in Purple Erie County is common, and it's how this area functions, but you all know better than I there are parts of this Commonwealth where you won't get that. How confident are you that you can get enough support to get this budget bill across the finish line with at least most of what you have in it is still in it by the time it's done?
I feel real good about where we are. Republicans and Democrats are talking again in our state capitol. I just signed Act 1 of 2023. It was a bill that was sponsored by the person called the President Pro Tem of the Senate. That's a fancy term for the leader of the Senate. She's a Republican woman. And the bill sailed through the Senate. I believe it was unanimous. It then went over to the House, which is led by a Democratic woman called the Speaker of the House. And she immediately put that bill up for a vote. And it passed, I believe, unanimously there as well. And I got to sign that into law. This bill does away with all costs associated with breast cancer screenings and genetic testing related to breast cancer. Why do I share that with you? Because this is an example of real bipartisanship. Republican leader with a bill, with an idea that I would argue is incredibly important, now law in Pennsylvania, passed in a Democratic House, signed by a Democratic governor. It's an example of how we should be working. Seeing a problem, coming up with a common sense solution, and then getting it done. And that's why I focus on our property tax rent rebate today. This is a problem. Seniors are struggling. We need to help more seniors. This is a common sense approach that's fully paid for and can put dollars back in the pockets of seniors right away. And it does enjoy broad bipartisan support. And now I'm going to do everything in my power to get it across the finish line by working with people of both parties. You know, we are the only state in the nation with a full-time legislature that's divided. Democrat in the House, Republican in the Senate. And I think that actually shouldn't be something that we get frustrated about or hinders us. I think it's an opportunity for us to actually come together and show the rest of the nation that we can govern effectively in a bipartisan way and get common sense things done. Yes?
We probably got time for one more if you guys have.
On the other side of the spectrum here, obviously this program helps seniors stay in their homes. What, if anything, can be done at the state level to help younger people get into their first homes now with housing prices soaring and interest rates the highest they've been in 17 years?
If I jump in
Yeah,
on that one,
sure, Senator.
No, don't leave the podium.
No, go ahead.
Don't leave the podium. No, actually, one of the things that we can do is raise the minimum wage in Pennsylvania. It's something that Governor Shapiro and I both agree on. Maybe not exactly where we need to be on it, but obviously it needs to be raised. I have a bill in the Senate to do that. I know there's bills in the House to do it. And I'm not going to speak on behalf of the governor, but I believe that he supports my bill, at least by and large. So that's one of the things that we can do to help our first-time home buyers get
100%. We got to raise our wages And again, it's a great example of Democrats and Republicans coming together. When I delivered my budget address, I said, let's raise our minimum wage in Pennsylvania to $15 an hour. Let's have a conversation in the legislature on how to do that. Senator Laughlin put forth a bill, I believe you go to 12 and then 15 if memory serves me correct. Yeah, over a couple years. I think that's an entirely reasonable approach, and that's something that we need to come together on. Again, another example of a problem that we know exists, right? We got to raise wages, coming forth with bipartisan solutions to get it done. And that'll be something that's part of the final negotiations. And I'll tell you what, if we could pass the Laughlin bill, I'll come back and sign it here and raise wages for all Pennsylvanians through his efforts. But we've got to address that, and I think that's an important way to do it. All right? You pick the place where we'll sign it. Anything else? Let's eat? That was a very polite way of you saying, hey, Gov, we're done. Wrap it up, okay? Thanks, everybody. All right. Thank you. Thanks, guys.